Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Right or Die Show. I am your host, Randi-lee. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking to Stephan Neff. And I've been a guest on his show, and I'm so excited to have him as a guest on my show. We had such an awesome conversation last time I talked to him, so I know it's going to be awesome again. Before we get to the episode, though, if you have not already hit that like and subscribe button, do it now. Don't forget, you don't want to miss any of the episodes. Hello, welcome to the Right or Die Show. I'm excited to have you on my show. And I say it like that because I was already on his show.
Indeed, and it was fun. So it's an honor to be back with you.
Oh, I love it. We talked, I mean, we just had such a good conversation. We kept going and going.
And that's real life, isn't it? That
It
is the opposite to addiction is connection. And when people actually start talking honestly and show integrity, humility, authenticity, suddenly it's a complete new game.
Yeah,
It's beautiful. Life is gorgeous.
it is. I love that. So I always start with the same question. Tell us about yourself.
Well, hey, first of all, thank you for having me. And I'm Stefan Neff. I'm a consultant anesthetist. I'm a man who works within a hospital and does all kind of roles there. And that's sort of my daytime job. But really, if you ask me who am I, I'm also a man who's gone through a lot of trauma in his life. A man who's gone through, who has seen some pretty damn darkness and has gone through and is living now to tell the tales and teach others about the lessons that I learned the hard way. So when I talk about PTSD, depression, anxiety, addiction, alcoholism, these are all words very personal to me because I've lived them. But when I talk about self-love and joy of living and hope, and that is equally, that is me. So my past does not equal the future, and certainly my previous trauma does not define me. But it made me the man who I am today. And today I'm a man who loves living. I'm a man who is addicted to life. I'm a man who runs a YouTube and a podcast. I'm of bring gorgeous guests on and explore their journeys so that I can share through this medium. I can share hope. I can share that there is light at the end of the tunnel for those people who might not see it, or those people who just came out of the tunnel and are a bit blinded by the light and don't know what's happening. We all have been there. It's all a journey that we are on, and some of us are just a little bit further down that journey. I'm 8 years down that journey of finding myself, finding, or shall I say, creating myself,
Oh, I like
recreating,
that.
reinventing myself.
I'm reinventing myself every day.
And hopefully you can understand that I'm one of these guys who has gone through a lot of shit in his life and is now here to tell his story in order to make
Oh,
sense of my own mess and out there make sense out of my own mess and teach you that whatever is happening right now, those feelings will pass. Okay,
yeah.
it sounds like a rock song out of the 80s, and it probably is a line that I stole somewhere from that. I'm pretty sure it actually is.
Yeah, yeah.
But hey, all words, every single word in the English language has been used so many times, and there are only so many permutations.
Yes,
So
exactly.
therefore, please don't send any lawyers down my way. Say, oh no, you stole that.
Oh,
I'm sure
that's
these
funny.
guys stole it from someone else.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you string words together, you're bound to say the same sentence as somebody else. Like, that's gonna
Hmm.
happen.
It is life, exactly.
Exactly.
Right,
All
so that's me in a nutshell. The new and improved version.
excellent. And now we're gonna crack the nutshell open and go into the
Ooh.
dark places.
I don't know why do I expect now you can leave your head on and I sort of undress slowly and sit actively.
That is not the show. I think you've got the wrong show.
Oh, sorry, that was the other show. Damn, that is like, I'm so sorry, Randy. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that was so all right, so cracking the nut open in just like a metaphorical way. When did you first start feeling some depression or addiction, whichever one kind of hit first?
Well, what comes first is trauma. Trauma is typically the underlying problem in most lives that I have examined, that I listened to, those guests that come onto my show. It always starts with trauma, and it's never. You should never compare traumas, because the look from your mum that says, "Oh, you will never make it in life," can be so. Therefore, trauma can be as little as this kind of negative something that happened within your family. Or it could, of course, be something extreme like your best friend being blown up on a battlefield, and you bathing in his blood. Okay, that's trauma too, I give you that. But it's not a pissing contest. So there is trauma in virtually every life, and it has different meanings. And it's quite bizarre because, for example, as a doctor, I see so many road traffic accidents, motor vehicle accidents. So there are these people in the same car that are absolutely smashed up, and all of them have horrendous injuries, and one of them completely falls apart up there, and the others are saying, yeah, okay, we get on with our life. So why does one person get PTSD and not the others? So there's the example. So I
was just gonna say, it really comes down to our coping strategies that we've learned throughout life.
Well, exactly right. So it is a tricky one. Trauma comes first, and therefore, if I look in my life, I come from no money. I very blue collar kind of background, and it was not a good start in life, I guess. I was lucky there was no sexual abuse, no abuse in its own right, if at all neglect by necessity, because I was a victim of divorce, so to speak. So my mom brought me up, but she had to go to work. So essentially, I was with my great grandmother. So it was not really a very cohesive young life there. Then, unfortunately, I ended up in the wrong place, wrong time, and had been the victim of a gang violence. And gang violence is hard. So much here in New Zealand. We see so much. I mean, right now in beautiful little Rotorua, what is it, 60,000 people, gorgeous place, come to visit. If you don't mind the 1,000 gang members that are living in our area. And what the fuck? Come on, no. And yet this is a scourge that is so, unfortunately, in Germany, idiots, and they have quite nasty trauma. So, and that was
How old were you?
13, 1-3.
Oh my, that's kind of young. I mean, not that anybody should be a victim of gang violence, but you're just such a baby.
Correct. But yeah, it changed me forever, and it made me, for the better or worse, into the man that I'm now, because I had barely healed my bruises when I started training martial arts with the police in Germany, and I became quite good in it. But with hindsight, I masqueraded the PTSD and turned it into something positive. Look here, I'm always prepared. I'm always there.
But then you're also in this state of like hyper-vigilance, and that's exhausting.
It's incredibly exhausting, but it's also very helpful if you're a doctor, because nothing slips underneath you. So suddenly, if you put that into your workplace, you become a good doctor. People love you to be around because nothing escapes your attention. Nice. So therefore, I repackaged the whole thing as something positive,
Hmm.
and therefore never dealt with
But I'm sure it took some time to
the
get
trauma.
to there.
So that was too hard. Yeah, about 13, and I was 53. Yeah, it only took me about 40 years
Oh,
to.
no time
It's
at
exactly.
all.
Yep, that's right. So for 40 years, I was not on this planet as far as my own reasons for some of my behaviors were concerned. The reason that I was constantly the knight in shining armor, that was constantly there for others. I put others always first. I always wanted to rescue everyone else, and I was very bad in looking after myself. I was
So
always others, focus of others.
a lot of people are that way, and a lot of people think that that's a good way to be because you're so caring about others and you want to help them. I love the laugh because you see where I'm going with this. And it's not to
Oh,
say
hell
it's
yes. Hell.
bad to care for others. It's great to care for others. I mean, that's what gives us our human connection. However,
Hmm.
you cannot care for other people in a good, healthy way for a long period of time if you do not take care of yourself, if you're completely ignoring what you need, right? The airplane always says, put your thing on first
Oh,
and
shit, yeah.
then you help somebody else.
Oh, shit, yeah. And I was never doing that. On the contrary, I was burning the candle on two ends and in the middle in a few places. So,
I
no,
shouldn't have done
this
that.
was. And to a certain degree, again, that can be good for your career. And in some careers, it is expected that you live like that. And certainly in medicine, when I grew up, you had to be there before the boss and leave after the boss. And it was, and the bosses were putting in 80, 90-hour days, weeks, shall I say. So,
I was gonna say there's not 80 hours
yeah,
in a day.
yeah, well, if they could have, they would have. Okay,
Oh,
so let's put it like
probably.
that. That was the work ethic there. You're a doctor. This is your life, and next
Yeah.
time you come up for air will be after your retirement or after your heart attack
You can
and
sleep
death.
when you're dead.
Um, Literally, that was the attitude in medicine for a long period of time. And I was certainly still brought up in the early stages in that. Having said that, in medicine, there are very clear studies that were done in the UK in the 90s, 2000s, where they actually looked at the time of death of people, when they looked of critical incidents, when did most people die due to preventable errors. And surprise, surprise, it was in the middle of the night when there were junior staff dealing with very sick people when they're completely overworked and tired.
Yeah.
Gee whiz, no one would have figured that out. And but then at least the figures were there, and it was very clear this is
Yeah.
when the mortality goes up. And we know that from the United States. At the time, in the first week after their major rotations, mortality spikes because you've got junior doctors coming into a new workplace and don't know their ass from their front. And no surprise that maybe that is not so clever. So we see all that, we accept it nowadays, but indeed, unfortunately, in the past, I was brought up in a different value set, in a bit different core beliefs. You work hard, you're a man, you work, you shut up, you get on with it, and
Right?
take a concrete pill and grow strong. Okay,
Yeah.
that kind of
I
things.
I just watched a TikTok. Actually, I do edit this TikTok because it was so good.
What
And the
did you know?
person did it was a stitch. So the first person was a female and she goes, "When you're having a really bad mental health day, who do you call?" And then the rest of the stitches there was like 5 or 6 guys and each one of them said, "Nobody. Literally nobody cares. I'm a man. I'm supposed to suck it up." And that was their
Haha,
response, all of them. And I've had that conversation with my husband on so many
nice,
occasions about how
nice.
men are told to suck it up, walk
Oh,
it off, be strong, men don't
oh.
cry, whatever. That's macho mentality. Meanwhile, I mean, just looking at what me and my husband have went through with the kids, um, and being in and out the hospital with them. And I mean, he almost died at one point from diabetes. I almost died at one point from cancer. Like, how is he expected? Like, all men are expected to just keep going. It's fine. You are fine.
which is bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Why do you think we've got such a high suicide rate in men, and why do you think that there is such an epidemic, really, of suicides and self-harm in grown men? It transcends all ages, and especially with the isolation due to COVID, with regards to more difficult circumstances. The farmers here, there's a quiet wave of suicides there. It is in a world where we need to be very careful about ourselves. We are living in a world where we need cautious is going on around us. Yes, there are times when you have to be a man and suck it up. If there's an emergency in with a patient, I can't just fall apart and cry.
Yeah.
Maybe afterwards it might be very appropriate to cry, and nowadays I do. In the past, I would have probably hidden somewhere, did it quietly. Nowadays, I wouldn't have any qualms of showing my emotions in
Which
an
is
appropriate way.
fabulous.
No, exactly. And that makes me, I think, a very good doctor nowadays.
Yes.
In the past, I would have seen it as a failure. I would have seen it as a weakness
Yeah.
too. And that is, but you have to go through shit first to get this shift in your core beliefs, to
Yes.
be able to get the insight, see what is happening to you, see the bullshit that you do it. It can work.
Oh, or
Takes time. It takes pain. It's not possible.
Yeah. No.
After all, sorry, your core beliefs basically served you, for the lack of a better word, pretty well through nasty times in the past. At least you thought they would. So now suddenly to throw the whole thing out? Nah, that doesn't work. No.
Yeah. And that, I mean, it's the same for mothers too. I'm going to say mothers.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I can only speak from that perspective because I'm one. Maybe single people are like this too. But like as a mother, you're not allowed to break down either because you have to take care of the kids and you have to go to work and you have to take care of the house and you have to. You know what? Again, bullshit. We are allowed
But
to have bad dates.
no, you're not. You're not, because as a modern woman, you need to be sexy, perfect, breaking the glass ceiling, fighting for equality, going out there, being the best on the soccer field, being the best wife,
Right.
dare to sleep somewhere up. Oh, you are such a failure. You are such a failure as a woman.
Yeah, exactly. Like how are people supposed to actually be enjoying life, be thriving in life when that's the standard that we're expected to live up to?
Oh, I can answer that. Alcohol. Because that's what the mummy wine. That's what the mummy wine culture is all about. You know.
Oh my
You
goodness,
go.
that drives me crazy.
No.
Every
A modern
single
woman.
person is
That's
like,
not-
"Oh, wine."
I know. That's the absolutely, and it's more okay. And if you come on to nowadays, you can't actually get completely blotto and be going out of shape, because that's not good for your image too. So you need to be slim, and so no calories, but yet you want to be pissed. So what do? It's the hard seltzers. So what a concept! I love it. If I could have thought about it. You take water, carbonate it, put a bit of lemon in it, and then put alcohol in it. So the raw ingredients are basically cheap as chips. And then you package it nicely, you pinkify it. Now, it must be pink, so because it's
yeah.
for the girls.
Of course.
Exactly. But there are no calories in there. There are no carbs in there. And we don't count the alcohol. And what a sales pitch! Man!
I know.
You
and
can
you see it on
feel good.
every TV show. You see it in memes. You see it like it's everywhere.
Isn't it? Amazing. I mean, damn it. Talk about manipulation of the masses. You think, oh no, I find Facebook very offensive because it looks into my privacy. Look at the advertisement that is hitting you. Oh God! We think that we are clever and we know it all. There was a beautiful study 3 years ago now, where someone actually sat down and watched. What did they watch? It was one of the big streaming channels in the United States. So two big streaming channels versus each other, and they actually went through hundreds of hours watching
Okay.
the most popular things, most
Okay.
popular shows, etc. And then they basically sat down whilst they were watching and looked at how frequently alcohol appeared in those shows. It was all over the show. Anything,
Yeah.
let it be a soap opera, let it be a whatever it is, horror film, anything goes.
Oh yeah,
They
there's
looked at
always
it.
booze.
Every 3.5 minutes, alcohol was drunken or product placed in there in a positive way every 3.5 minutes. And officially, there is no alcohol advertisement allowed. Okay, that's sort of pretty much in many countries there is sort of a rule for that. Practically spoken, it turns out that on this one major streaming service, the all the heroes seem to like particularly whiskey.
Whiskey
And
is a very popular one for like men, I find.
no, it was just the whole thing. So basically, every single freaking thing that ran there was whiskey infused. Now on the opposite side, it was beer, where all the heroes seemed to like a particular beer very well. Amazing that is! I just wonder how that happens. Oh, you just think, my God. But unless someone actually does these studies and looks at it, you don't realize how
Yes.
much you are manipulated by people who make a shitloads of money out of you.
Yeah, exactly. And they're trying to show us they show us this is a great way to cope, a great way to live.
Of course.
However, we know that it's not. So,
Yeah.
speaking of that, after you went through the gang thing and your wounds are healing and you went through your martial arts thing, what kind of happened next?
Well, I still had not dealt with my emotions, and I would not do my emotions for a long time. I became a doctor, and I focused on my career, and I became very good in that. And needless to say, you don't need to be only addicted to alcohol. You can also be addicted to work, because if you just keep working and working, you don't have to think about your own life.
Mhm.
And if you go from work, 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 drink, 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 then it's easy. That's your day done. So it's basically, I did not have to think. I did not have, no, I'm wrong. I did not have to feel. I did not have to
There,
feel the
yes.
negative emotions. That is probably the better way to go, or
Yeah,
to
you
say
definitely had
it.
to think as a doctor.
Mm. The thinking was okay, even with hangover. You get used to it. But and especially when you're very good in crisis management, because they are very good crisis management algorithms. And I was teaching them to other doctors, so I knew my
Okay.
shit. I knew my shit backwards. So
Okay,
it was all
that's good
good.
then.
So as a doctor, I never really slipped up big. Having said that, I'm sure I wasn't the nicest co-worker with a hangover and a dry mouth and.
Yeah.
So, but I was a high functioning alcoholic. Let's put it like that. But
And
I
I
never.
think from just the people that I've interviewed and people that I know, most alcoholics or even drug addicts are high functioning. They are your average everyday person. They are doctors, lawyers, whoever. They are your average everyday person, and you don't even realize it most of the time.
You're so
And then
right.
when you come to figure out that they actually are addicted to something, you're like, what? How did I miss that? But you're so together. Your life is so together. Your work is so good.
That's the fact. 1 in 3 people, conservative figure, 1 in 4 people is chemically addicted, and that is a huge number. And many of us on alcohol, which is still legal after all, many of us in other ways, or have multiple addictions, let's say alcohol, pornography, and from now and then a few joints. And if there's some cocaine around, hey, come on, bring it on. That would not be so unusual, because when one is not immediately available, you can switch over to the other, so you can always escape reality. So that's what we're doing. We are trying to escape reality. That's what an addict does. It is no one says, be lovely when I shoot that up. The alternative of shooting up is feeling a pain that is much worse. And that is what we are doing. We are trying to escape the reality. Your pain, your suffering, your trauma, all those kind of things. And that's unfortunately such a common thing. We are not taught how to actually look after ourselves from a mental health perspective. We are not taught that a psychologist is your best friend, that your GP is your best friend, your family physician. No. Yet, if I keep saying forever, if you look at top CEOs, or CEOs of top Fortune 500 companies, virtually everyone will have his performance coach, or two or three. Every top athlete will have, Olympic athlete will have a performance coach.
Yep.
What are they? They're psychologists. They are the people who have got the user manual for the supercomputer, because you for sure haven't. So, and that's the point. So I saw it as a weakness to admit that I'm not all right and to seek help. And that is the biggest downfall.
That is exactly how I felt. Exactly. I felt if I admit that I can't handle it all, if I can't be perfect, then I'm a failure. And actually, okay, so on topic, but slightly off topic. So I don't know if you've seen the new Disney movie Encanto.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so I love it. I'm obsessed with it. I listen to all the songs. And so many people are making TikToks and stuff, and a lot of them are about Luisa's song. So Luisa is the big strong one. That's her power. She's super strong. And her song, though, is about how much pressure she's always under and how can she be good if she can't keep it all together. And I do identify with that song, and that's what we're talking about. But the other side of that is Isabella, and her song is about how she has to be perfect. She is the perfect sister. Everything she does has to be symmetrical and beautiful. She makes flowers. She can't make anything that's not beautiful. And her hair is always perfect, right? And I actually identify much more with Isabella than I do Luisa because of that perfectionism. I was growing up, it was always, here's my test, I got 90. But it's only 90, how come it's not 100? Well, look, 90 is pretty damn good. Right? And so it was this perfectionist thing. So if I couldn't take it all, if I couldn't be a perfect mom and a perfect wife and a perfect coworker and keep it all together while doing it, then I was a failure. Right? So, I mean, let's give Isabella some love here. Being perfect is hard.
No, that is, oh please, perfectionism. Well, there are two sides to that story, so it's not as easy and as black and white as maybe we like to think. As a doctor, I can't just say, this week was good, 96 out of 100 survived. That's not bad, okay. Last week it was 90, so I'm actually improving, This is, no. Okay, so maybe in some parts, like for example, it would be nice if a pilot could land 100% of the planes on more or less the right airport, and not in 15, 20 pieces. So that would be nice. So sometimes perfectionism, okay, I go for that. Having said that, if that translates into absolutely every aspect of your life, and that's the pitfall, that was what happened to me. For example, I forever liked to do to-do lists and just writing down those things that I wanted to do. And mine would be in the category of, okay, treat world hunger, lose 30 kilogram today. So I was setting myself goals that were not even achievable in a year, and I was thinking I can do them all in a day. And then I was pissed off in the evening when I only could tick off 3 or 4 of them, and I felt like a failure. Now that's stupid perfectionism. That's stupidity where I had to learn so much. So that's where to-do lists can be incredibly powerful in destroying you.
Yes.
They can be equally
used to do the same.
they can be equally very, very good for you, keeping you on track. because otherwise, with my creative mind, I'm ping, 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 shiny, shiny.
Right?
Okay, I'm like Dory in Finding Nemo, shiny. That's me, and that's the beautiful creativity that I've got. So I need to be careful that I don't just run off with the coolest new toy that I've got and forget to finish all the other projects. So, so therefore, the to-do list is worthwhile, but actually structured in such a way that you don't set yourself so many things that you're constantly failing,
Yeah.
or allow yourself to rephrase things. You say, fuck, I got 12 things done today. How good is that? I'm so happy and grateful that I was able to achieve 12 out of these 212 that I actually wrote down. And it just reminds me, tomorrow I need to work on the others. But today I'm so happy and grateful that I achieved so much. If you can do that, then you're no longer that toxically perfectionistically weird girl or guy, and it is perfectionism. As I said, two sides to the story. You want to be good in your job, but you need to know when enough is enough. Okay, you can mow the lawn, and it doesn't need to be stripy, and it doesn't need to be with the nail scissors.
Oh my goodness! There's this guy that lives around the corner from me, and I've never actually like met him, but he lives around the corner. We walk by his house every day because we've got the dogs. And in the summer, his lawn is like that, perfectly manicured. Every single blade of grass is exactly the same height. Like, it is seriously. You guys take the scissors and go down.
Exactly. Now, okay, let's not judge the guy. Maybe that is his pride and passion. Exactly. So I'm
beautiful. I'm just glad he's not my neighbor, because it would make my lawn look so bad.
Worse, your husband. And could you imagine what he expects your kitchen to look like? Or your floor? I need to be able to eat out of that corner over there. If not, you're a failure.
Yeah.
And it's just that. Yeah, exactly. Show me how it is done, darling. Exactly. And whilst you're down there. No, it is, but that's so true. So true. We often set ourselves up to fail because of our own warped core beliefs. And these core beliefs, they come from somewhere. So you need to figure out, why are you thinking that? And that is a journey that my wife is on, for example. So she has got all these beliefs and concepts in her head that are often mutually exclusive. I have to be a good mom. I have to be able to cook for everyone. Everything needs to be clean. But I also want to be a real estate investor, a property investor. I want to be she has got all these goals and these things that she strives towards. And needless to say, from now and then she gets tired. Surprise, surprise.
Wow,
and then I know. And then the anger comes out because suddenly she feels like a failure. And that anger immediately turns towards everyone. Like yesterday, she was cooking us actually something really gorgeous, yummy. And my son and I were sitting down and looking forward to that. And my son said, in a really nice way, hey, look, guys, what are you up to later? Because he wanted to use the internet to stream a game. Oh. So that was the question. And it went straight into Third World War. Oh, I've stood here the whole day and looking after you, and it was. Where does that come from? And it was just bizarre. The most bizarre kind of reaction. So complete distress from holding it together to distress, so 0 to 100 in about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And Alex and I, my son and I, just looked at each other and thought, what the hell is just happening here? And we couldn't figure it out. But it's ultimately, later on, my wife and I sort of sat down together and tried to figure it out. And she told me a bit about what's going on in her head. And no surprise. So it's that setting yourself up to fail. And just being overwhelmed and still pushing. And quietly, without telling anyone, thinking they should really help me. But don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone, because you need to feel it by diffusion somehow, osmosis. It needs to sort of come through the Wi-Fi. I need help, but I will never tell anyone.
That is a thing, like the biggest thing that I have had to learn over the years is that I have to actually verbalize my expectations of other people. Because I cannot expect, and I used to think,
Uh-huh.
why don't you just know? Like that was a thing. Me and my husband would always be, why don't you just know you're supposed to do that? Why don't you just know this is where you put something? Why don't you just know that I changed the location of the bowls? Like whatever it happened to be, why don't you just know? Well, then I stop and think about it, and when he says that to me, I'm like, well, how am I supposed to know if you don't tell me?
Yeah,
Oh shit!
exactly.
I
Yeah,
guess I better
exactly.
tell you.
But
It doesn't,
no, no.
it can't
But then
work one way
again,
without the other.
oh, please, you girls are, although that is, I mean, once you come to that realization, you think there should be no world peace. No, no, no. What do you do then? You have yesterday evening, you have a big major hissy fit. We need to sit around the table together as a family. I never see you. You come on. I demand that we are now eating together every evening and we play family. Okay, okay, cool. We're playing family now. Next evening, you come down. Just get your food. I'm tired. It's just goalpost. Oh, sorry, sorry. I was kicking there, but no, goalposts are there.
Yeah.
Shit. And it sounds like a bloody like it sounds like a meme. It sounds like something funny, but it is actually my life. But guess what? It is life,
Yeah.
and as long as you are able to learn from it. I can't change my wife. I can't give her a lobotomy. I can't give her some electroshock treatment. Sometimes I would wish to, but no, she is gorgeous. She is the way she is.
Yeah.
Broken, mended. She is as fucked up as I am. So, it is what it is. Let's give
Yep.
ourselves the freedom to actually make mistakes
Yes.
and get it wrong and then say have the guts to actually say, look, I'm sorry that I exploded in your face like that.
Yeah.
I was really out of line. I'm sorry. I love you.
Yeah.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So therefore, to have the power and the humility to, once the wave of neurochemicals has washed over your brain and calm is recurring, that you're actually then say, hey, look, I fucked up. And
Yeah.
that is what makes a good marriage, that what makes a good relationship.
Yeah.
And again, something I didn't know when I was a younger man.
Yeah.
As soon it was 3 month honeymoon period, and then as soon as then daily grind set in,
Mm.
I was off. So it was, nah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so much. We human beings are weird animals, aren't we?
We
It
are.
is.
All right. So, oh, we've already been talking for so long, but we have not really touched enough on the the alcohol part. I mean, we talked about it, but we didn't get to some meat of what I want. So, my question to
What?
you is, when did you start drinking? When did you stop? And why did you stop? What was
Okay.
the catalyst?
There was this period of darkness, of trauma, of me being low all the time. And then I remember sitting on a Saturday afternoon, lunchtime, with two friends around the table in a German beer garden. And it was really a beautiful setting. It was summer, and it was a good week at university, and we just sat there and met and laughed, and it was belly laughter that was there, and that belly laughter became facilitated by a stein of beer. A stein is a liter of beer in a big, heavy, either
That seems like a
glass or
lot.
oven. Oh, that's beautiful. It's Germany. Come on, Germany. You should see our wine glasses.
Oh my.
Yes, no, it's amazing. There's amazing stuff in in Germany, and so alcohol is ubiquitous. It's there.
Yeah.
But there we were sitting on that patio out there under this beautiful big tree, and it was lovely, warm, and I suddenly felt this dopamine rush coming over me. This warmth. Shit, get it. Got a goosebump. Got goosebumps. Still,
Oh,
I
the
feel that
memories.
now. I feel that. I feel that. This kind of the release. That what came over me. And that is what I know now as an addict, and having looked into addiction. Some of us have got much stronger dopamine rushes than others, so up to
Right.
levels of 200 times as strong. And that is exactly probably what I experienced there the first time. So it was that first high, that first feeling of freedom. It was such a beautiful feeling. And on the back of 4 years, pretty much of darkness, of PTSD, of fighting, um, and it was beautiful. And then, of course, also come in, and we were all young, away from home, and basically studied hard, played hard, had fantastic parties, and we just found ourselves. And alcohol was again an integral part of it. The girls enjoyed the boys enjoyed the girls, and and alcohol was the lubricant for many of these relationships. So alcohol became a really good friend of mine, and it was a really lovely, lovely love affair, um, between alcohol and me at the start. And there's all that flair that goes with it. You have not just a schnapps. You have got a black sambuca with free coffee beans in there. Then you flambe it and then you drink it. Or you have a vodka with a piece of pineapple on it, cube of sugar, then pure alcohol on it. You flambe it. That's yours. Kind of a thing. You make these kind of things.
Yeah.
You make cocktails. I was good in cocktail making. So, it's all that. Champagne. Germany has got superb wines and champagnes. So you become a connoisseur. I was a connoisseur. I knew my wines. I knew my champagnes. So it was all that. It was a very glorious time. But I still had not learned how to deal with negative emotions. So therefore, when shit hit the fan again, and then some more, and then some more, then what do? You fall back onto what felt so good the first time around, which was the beer,
Yeah.
or then the wine, or whatever it was. Didn't matter which kind
Yeah.
of alcohol molecules you had, because suddenly it felt good again, or at least it didn't feel as painful again.
Yeah.
So, and that was unfortunately the my journey. So for the next decades, I was going through that runaway kind of I was running away from
Yeah.
myself, and yeah, it took a long time, and life life wanted me to learn lessons, and I didn't learn the lessons,
Yeah.
and so it brought
Life
more
was like,
shit.
hey, guess what? And you're like,
Yeah.
fuck that.
No, 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 that's right. Give me another bottle of vodka. We deal with that tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it went until about 8 years ago, when I spiraled really lower and lower in my mood, and when my wife ultimately, behind my back, organized an admission to a rehabilitation hospital. And
How long had you been married for at that point?
good question. 1996. That was 8 years ago. What is it now? Oh God, I love maths, but you're pushing it. Something like close to 20 years.
Oh wow. So
Yeah.
yeah, she
So,
was like, enough's enough. We're doing this.
well, she was just as wet as me. So she was drinking. We were both drinking 2 bottles and then some wine a night, not together. She
Yeah.
two and I two. And yeah, we were both alcoholics, no two ways around it. But she found Jesus Christ, she found her religion, and with the help of her church, she was able to get rid of the alcohol. Not necessarily dealing with her problems,
Hmm.
but at least having enough support to be able to quit. So, in my book, My Steps to Sobriety, I call it the white knucklers. Those people who are really, I can do it. I can do it. I don't need the alcohol. I'm
Yeah.
okay. I'm okay.
And for
And that
some
is,
it works.
but yeah, that is, for me, it was hard because I then, of course, went into the offensive, and she became extremely against alcohol. The pendulum swung this way,
Yeah.
so we had constant rows about my drinking, which came from a point of love. She wanted
Yeah.
to get me to stop, but it so didn't want to work. So ultimately, it spiraled out of control, and I ended up in rehab. And suddenly, there was no more crutch to lean on. Suddenly, I had to learn about myself. I suddenly had to take the band-aids off and drain the pus, one sore at a time. And
Yeah.
it was one of the most beautiful things, one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And I nowadays say it should be mandatory for every 18-year-old or probably 16-year-old. They should be mandatory admitted to a rehab hospital to actually get to know themselves, to get to know good habits in their life, get introduced to psychology, get introduced to different coping mechanisms, get introduced to asking the right questions to yourself, and get mindfulness, yoga, regular exercise, all those kind of things that were essentially foreign to me on a personal level, because I had not practiced them, regardless of my focus on the mind during my training, as in the sense of my martial arts training.
Yeah.
There was very much a strong component of meditation, etc. there. But yeah, come on. I was reading all these self-help books with a glass of wine in my hand. So come on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's like
So
I'm going on a diet while we're eating the chips.
exactly. That's
It
it.
doesn't work.
So it was a very slow start. It was a hard start. And whilst I achieved, again, overachiever, I like to put my head to it and go for it. So there
Yeah.
was 4 weeks in rehab. I did the work. I worked through it all. Here's done 4 weeks here. I handed in my test early. Yeah, right. And I thought I had done it all. And only then down the line did I realize really this is a lifelong journey. And this is the journey that I'm on. And initially, you still are the wounded animal that licks his wounds. But down the line, you slowly find yourself or recreate yourself, should I really say. Because I was an empty shell, which also means I was an empty page where I could start writing a new chapter, a new journey. And that is beautiful. So I actually started writing the next chapter rather than it being written for me and I'm just some pawn on the page on the chessboard. So I started writing it, but I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I always had that saying, there's not enough cheesecake in this world. And, you need to look after yourself, kind of a thing. I just phrased it that way.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, I need to learn how to do a proper cheesecake, a good German baked cheesecake. So I started to learn about cheesecakes, and then I said I might as well write a book about German cheesecakes. I write a cookbook, but I'm a doctor. Yeah, I'm a doctor. So when a doctor writes a cookbook, then it is basically the fucking encyclopedia of German cheesecakes. And then, oh yeah, shit, I better put some recipes in. And that's really it. So you've got half a book full of facts about cheesecake, and then you've got 34 recipes finally. It's probably one of the worst worst cookbooks has ever been written on this planet. But I kept it actually out there. Exactly. That was my first book. I did my first writing. I was proud as, and yeah, it's awful. That's all I could say.
I didn't know that you had written a book about cheesecake. I love that fact. I love it.
So yeah, I am. But then I got into that writing, and with that, I actually got into the photography side, and I wanted to learn more about photography and filming, and that was where my creative journey started. I then did a few courses in person as well as on the internet, and I really got better and better in what I was doing, and it was just a beautiful journey, a beautiful growth, a beautiful transformation. So it was, yeah, you see that smile that creeps on my face. It
I
is just,
know.
I can't stop it because it is so beautiful. And once you start being creative, you meet other creative people. I met many thespians, people who love to be on stage, and it's great to do writers, exactly, and that is so beautiful. And you figure out, hey, You're not the only one who has gone through shit. They have gone through shit, and look here, they're writing about it. Ooh, that's cool. Or they're talking about it. Ultimately, of most people that I meet nowadays, they have gone through dark times, and they are now determined to make sense out of their suffering, and are now coming out. That's that you have got this journey here through a podcast that you form to others to share their suffering with you, and that is so beautiful. For that I commend you. For that I thank you. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I want to make this world a little bit better, one interview at a time, one
And I
book
think
at a
that you
time.
do. I definitely think that you do. So speaking of that, um, tell us about, that side, what your podcast is, the book that
Yeah.
people need to go and
Okay.
buy.
Right. Thank you so much.
Not the
Well, where
Cheesecake
to
book.
start? Well, first of all, I would like to thank the Queen of Sweden, and let me just read the whole. No, kidding. Um, this is the most recent book that I've done, and actually the core piece, My Steps to Sobriety, Get Sober and Stay That Way. And that's really my journey as far as the mental health is concerned, and as far as what I did to get my shit together. And it's a book which is really quite a practical book for you guys out there. So check it out. There are heaps of action plans in there. What you can do with regards to your own sobriety or your own healing from mental health problems.
And where do
I,
people get it?
that's right. Go. This one is on Amazon, but go to mystepstosobriety.com. This is my website where you can find all information about me, about Esme the Mindful Mouse, my first children's book out of a series. So little Esme is a gorgeous, gorgeous little mouse that needs to learn a lot about the difference between her actions and people. So if someone is grumpy with her and angry with her, that is not because she is a bad little mouse, because she has done something bad. The difference between shame and guilt, those kind of things. So that is what we're
I
exploring
read that
in
book like
that
10
book.
years ago and my kid was only 5.
Oh, exactly. But these are the things. So nowadays, I work together with a lot of wonderful people. So we've got 2 books out there. I've written many more. I'm working on many more. And if you come to my website, you'll see the books that I'm at the moment producing and co-authoring. So we've got 2 books on depression. One is Boys Do Cry, and one is
I haven't
Depression
got
Light
back
to
to you
Me.
about that yet.
Just if it
It
suits.
just dawned on me that I didn't give. Can
Yeah.
you send me another email reminder about that, please?
Hell yes, hell yes.
Thank
So
you.
these are the 2 books. The other project. So depression is close to my heart. There are many other topics close to my heart. One is the burnout that I see around me in the nursing staff, in the doctors' staff, the suicides. Basically, let's not go there. That's another complete different topic. But ultimately,
Another
let's talk
episode.
about burnout here.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. These are the 4 books I'm working on now, and there will be another. Many others are coming. So I'm very active out there. So check me out. My Steps to Sobriety is a damn good place. Otherwise, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. I'm all there. And just hook me up. Just get in touch and say, hey, tell me a bit more what you're up to there. And if you guys feel that you want to come onto the journey with Randi-lee, or with me, with regards to making this world a bit of a better place, then please do so. Please
Yeah.
stop just listening to a podcast. Actually take action. Because by taking small measurable steps, suddenly you find your own voice. Maybe you're going to become a writer. Maybe for you one day it is, I need to write or I die. And that is, indeed. And it is such a beautiful thing. Okay. So, Randi-lee, thank you so much for having me on your show.
You
This
are
was such a
so
blast.
welcome. It was. I love chatting with you. Um, on your show, we chatted for forever. On my show now, I'm like, oh, I gotta wrap up. It's been an hour. Like, I could keep
Exactly.
going though. So I definitely I think you gotta come back on the show as maybe as you
Oh,
get closer to as you get closer to releasing your next book, because then you can there's more. I know there's way more to your story. We have only barely scratched the surface. So there's
And
more.
likewise, likewise.
Oops, I'm so down for that. So again, just like he was saying, follow him on the LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it was. Those links are going to be down in the description below. So just give him a little click and a little follow, and then you can stay up to date with everything. Thank
Indeed.
you so much for being on this show. It was awesome, as always, to talk to you.
It was an honor. Thank you so much, Randi-lee, for having me. And you guys out there, stay strong. I believe in you. You can do it. Okay, the darkness will go away. Okay, there will be this feeling will pass. Look after yourself.
So we have a sponsor for today's episode. It is Taylor Smith Design. And I have been using the services for, I guess, almost over a year now. I use the do-it-yourself services, and it makes posting on my social media so much easier. Seriously. They have a user-friendly platform where I can schedule all of my posts for the whole year on multiple social sites at the same time. The best part about that is that I can create recurring posts, so I don't have to constantly redo the same thing, which works great when promoting my books. Plus, if you run multiple businesses like I do, since I'm my kid's momager, you can hook it up to multiple accounts. One price for all of your needs, and it saves me so much time. Depending on the level that you sign up for, it can do so much more than just that. I'm still trying to figure out some of the features that it offers. If you need an affordable solution for your social media needs, then go to getseensocial.ca, use code write or die to get your first month totally free. All right. Who doesn't like free? Remember, you want to go to getseensocial.ca and use the code write or die. Get that first month free. I could have just kept talking forever and ever with him. I definitely have to have him come back on the show because there's just so much more to talk about. There really is. And so again, just like he was saying, if you want to reach out, I'm here for you. He's here for you. Pretty much all of the guests on this show have said, they're here for you. So don't feel scared to reach out. That is what we're here for. That is why we are always spreading this message about speaking openly and honestly, bringing mental health awareness out to everybody. If you would like to support the show, we have our Patreon. So you get some behind the scenes footage, you get a little bit of what I'm writing. And as well, we also have our merch store, and 10% of the proceeds always goes back to the Canadian Mental Health Association. So be sure to check that out. We got some really cool designs on there. I've got some designs in my head that I'm going to add because I haven't added anything new in a while. But it's just fun in the time, right? But new designs will be coming. Of course, check out his links down in the description below. Hit the like and subscribe button. I know I told you to already, but do it because I know some of you didn't listen. And remember, the only way to end the stigma of mental health is to speak openly and honestly.